Lesson number 100 is about advanced ratio problems. And our first question says, the ratio of nuts to bolts was 11 to 2. If there were 260 nuts and bolts in the pile, how many were bolts? Well, in order to solve this question, we can set up a ratio box. So we've got nuts to bolts, N to B. And we're going to make our 2 by 2 grid. 2 columns, 2 rows. We've got our ratio and our actual count. We'll just call it actual. So the ratio of nuts to bolts was 11 to 2. So 11 nuts for every 2 bolts. Then it says if there were 260 nuts and bolts in the pile, how many were bolts? So that's our actual. It's our actual count because there's 260 nuts and bolts. Now what we need in this question is we need our total nuts and bolts. We need a third row as well because it told us that there's 260 nuts and bolts. So we've got 260 and we need to figure out how many were bolts. So we're going to call this we'll call it a question mark because we want to know that. We know 11 plus 2, that would have to be 13. So now from that we can go ahead and we can set up a proportion. We can say 2 bolts over 13 total will equal the number of bolts when we have 260 total. To find our answer, we'll use our cross products. 2 times 260 will be equal to 13 times our question mark, the number of bolts that we have in this pile. 2 times 260 must be 520. 520 is equal to 13 times our question mark. So to undo the multiplication, we've got to divide both sides by 13. Let's see what we get when we divide 520 by 13. Well, 13 goes into 52 4 times. 13 times 4 is 52. That works out nicely. 13 goes into 0 times, so we've got our answer. How many bolts were there? There were 40 bolts. We can go ahead and rewrite and box our answer. The only thing different about these advanced ratio problems compared to our old ratio problems, is that we'll have a total as well as the given ratio and whatever we have as our actual count. Let's look at one more. When the race began, the ratio of professionals to amateurs was 2 to 17. So let's start. Professionals to amateurs was 2 to 17. We've got our 2 by 2 grid. Professionals, 2 for every 17 amateurs. 3,800 racers were in the race. How many were amateurs? Well, there were 3,800 total, so that includes both professionals and amateurs. So we get our total. That's the number of racers, which includes both professionals and amateurs. There were 3,800 total. We know based on our ratio, 2 plus 17, there must be 19 total involved with our ratio. So how many were amateurs? Well, that's what we want to figure out here. We want to figure out our question mark. So in order to do that, well, we go through our math. 17 over 19 is equal to our question mark over 3,800. Again, we're going to solve using our cross products. 17 times 3,800 is going to be equal to whatever 19 times our question mark is. Let's work through the math. 3,800 times 17. Well, 7 goes into 0. 7 times 0 is 0, 2 times. 7 times 8 is 56. We'll carry our 5. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 5 more is 26. We've got 0 as a placeholder. Then we've got 2 more zeros. 1 times 38 is just 38. So we can add. Everything's getting a little bunched together, so let's put a separate box here around our cross products. We're going to get 0, 0, and 6. 6 plus 8 is 14 will carry our 1, and 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. So we get 64,600. So 64,600 is equal to 19 times our question mark. To find our answer, we've got to divide both sides by 19. Pause the video now if you need to copy this. We're going to erase some of our work in order to find our new answer. Okay, to find our answer, we need to divide 64,600 by 19. Well, 19 times 2 is 38. So let's see what 19 times 3 is. 3 times 9 is 27, and we'll carry our 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 more gives us 5. So 19 times 3 is 57. When we subtract 57 from 64, we get 7. We bring down our 6. Well, 19 times 4, let's see what that is. 4 times 9 is 36. We'll carry our 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 more is 7. Perfect. We get 76. So 19 times 4 is 76. We've got 0. We know we need to fill in our zeros for our answer. So we get it as 3,400. If there were 3,800 total racers, there must have been 3,400 amateurs, which would have left behind 400 professionals. So in this question, we'll report our answer, 3,400 were amateurs. We could box it, and if we were working on our lesson, we move on to our next question. Lesson practice will be on page 312. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.